they should be able to manage all of their home services through a mobile app. If I'm a customer and I have ABC Pool Co. and I've got Sally's cleaning service and they're all on the Pro Valet platform, as an end customer, I can manage all of those relationships through my app.
Hello there and welcome back to the My Future Business Show. My name's Rick Nuske. I'm your host. I'm also the luckiest person on this planet alive today because I get to speak with some incredibly talented people. And I'd just like to say thank you for all of your feedback. I love reading through it. It makes a great deal of difference for me knowing that the show is making a difference for you. Now, on today's show, I have the pleasure of welcoming founder and CEO at Pro Valet, Mr. Peter Wasmer. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Hey, Rick, thank you so much for having me. Hope you're having a great day.
Oh, look, like I said earlier, I've got 2 feet and a heartbeat. I can't complain too much. Now, you and I are going to be talking about process automation systems for field service management companies that are designed to help you manage your business like a pro and put time and money back into your life. Now, who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to have time and money available to them? And this is a big part of the mission that you guys are on. But Peter, before we do that, it's, I guess, somewhat customary for us to learn a little bit about you. So where are you calling in from today?
Yeah, so I live in beautiful Naples, Florida, down on the southwest coast of Florida.
Has that been home forever, or?
I've been here for 32 years.
Yeah.
I grew up in New England and loved New England, up in Connecticut, but I had an affinity for summer. I loved summer, and when I found Florida, I thought, well, there's summer virtually year round. So
Yes.
we made a pilgrimage down here back in the 90s permanently after I met my wife.
Yeah, wow. So I know that there's lots of wonderful beachfront. Do you enjoy the beaches?
You know, I'm an avid waterman. Somebody asked me earlier if I played golf, and I don't play golf. My vice is my vice is to be on the water. There's so much of it to see, both inshore and offshore. And so if I've got a half a day to spend by myself or with my family, it's going to be on the water.
You know, and there's a lot to talk about in terms of your involvement with yachting, I believe, which we can talk about a little bit later on. I know that you're involved in that part of the space as well. But I love
Sure.
I love jet skis and things like that. Do you like actually skiing, or are you more into the yachting and the relaxation side of water sports?
Not anything I do on the water constitutes relaxation, except for Sunday slow boat rides with my wife.
Yeah, fantastic.
If we're on the water, we're going fast and we're going places, and we're typically chasing fish.
Oh,
So so we do a lot of fishing for pelagics offshore, and we do a lot of hunting for inshore fish down in the Everglades and 10,000 island areas.
yeah. Last time
So
I,
very, very good fishing.
I went last time I was in Mauritius. Not that I go there often, and wish I could go there more often. Is we went deep sea fishing off one of the big, I guess, the offshore fishing boats, and I was so taken by the experience. Just that rush of when something gets on your line. How does it make you feel when you hook up, as it were?
Well, it's by far one of the most incredible adrenaline rushes you can imagine, because like a lot of things, it's a lot like running a business. You know, when you start out, there's a lot of prep work. There's a lot of equipment involved.
Yep.
There's some know-how about the water, the weather, tides, and then of course understanding your target species. What is it doing right now that you would be able to try to go ahead and harvest one or two of them. So,
Yes.
so it's and then of course when it all comes together and that happens, boy, that's just magic right there.
Yep.
And Mauritius has some of the most brilliant waters in the world.
Yes, sir.
So good for you for having spent some time there. That blue water is really something that it doesn't matter how often I see it, I'm just drawn to it in a way that well, it's a unique and personal experience, let's say.
It's absolutely a personal experience, and it certainly changed my perspective when I saw all these pods, thousands of porpoising, dolphins, and doing their thing. We're talking thousands of them all in one hit. It's just a magical experience. Thank you very much for sharing. Now, we always like to spend a bit of time, Peter. I know that the audience loves learning about the people behind the business, so we're touching on a little bit of this. But tell me, where did you grow up, and what can you remember about growing up?
Well, I grew up in Connecticut, and I remember very distinctly the seasonality of life and how um, I love the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from school, I was not much of a school chum. Wasn't
Ditto.
a big fan of school, but I did love playing football and soccer, which were the fall sports up there. Um, that was followed probably by summer. I was an avid summer person. I did a lot of sailing. I was very fortunate to have parents who had the presence of mind to find a place that was far away from where we were, I'll call it growing up, and
Yep.
put us in a place where we could have a lot of self-discovery. So there
Yes.
was a lot of sailing, a lot of fishing, crabbing, all kinds of wonderful discovery about nature. So I was a big outdoorsman.
Yeah, look, when
And
you and I were growing up, do you remember the only rule being that you had to be home when the street lights came on?
100%, absolutely right. Yes, the door opened up at about 8:30 in the morning, and you weren't required to be anywhere near that house until the sun was going down. So, and we were not. We spent a lot of time riding bikes. We didn't harass people so much as we were infinitely curious about our surroundings, and we explored.
Yeah,
So,
life was a lot simpler back then. Now, you've touched on your parents. So I always like to talk about the people that are influencing us in our formative years. Did you have anybody like
mm.
that beyond your parents, or was it your parents?
Well, in many cases, it was my mom and dad. My mom was, from a nature perspective, she was active in Audubon, and she had in these adventures that we would take during the summertime, she would collect a lot of shells and whatnot. And she spent her school during the school years. She would
Hmm.
make presentations to various classrooms about the importance of marshes and salt marshes and what grew there and why it was important. And
Yep,
so that was foundational for me from an environmental perspective, and has continued through to this day. I sit on the board of the Alliance for Florida National Parks.
yep.
I'm active with several other, yeah, some people call them activist organizations, but look, we just want some clean water, right? So
Of
that's I'm
course.
involved with that.
Yep,
On the other side of the coin was my dad, and he was a tremendous influence from a business perspective.
yep.
Uh, my dad's originally from Cuba, and he came to the United States not knowing a lick of English, taught himself English, put himself through school, ended up at the University of Maryland, became president of his class 2 years in a row, president of his fraternity. So he came to the United States. He saw the American dream ahead of him, and he just went
And
full tilt after it. And
yes.
and by golly, the guy got it, man. He was really just um, he just felt like there was no end in sight. In fact, I remember as one time I actually ended up working with him for
Oh
about
yeah, yeah.
15 years. Yeah, and he said, "Look, I am never going to put a limit on how much somebody can make as a salesman for me."
Oh,
And it's a distinct influence on how I look at life. Why would you put a cap on somebody? You know, I don't want to I don't want to take away from the value that some people would bring to, curtailing some expenses associated with sales. But
yes,
if you're
yes.
generating sales and I'm the guy for which you're building that business, you get paid and
Yes,
keep doing it. Right.
absolutely.
And so he did that through his life and his career. He was originally an engineer. He likes to say he was an engineer, a civil engineer gone bad, and he ended up in equipment leasing. So So instead of building bridges, he was financing the equipment that built the bridges.
Yeah,
So
so that's wonderful feedback, and I take speaking English for granted. So for him to come over and learn English, then go ahead and done the things that he's done, he must be very influential in your life. So thank you very much for sharing. Now, in terms of your very first entrepreneurial experience, for me, I was washing cars. What was yours?
Hmm. Well, I had it in my mind that I could create getting into blending both my fondness for nature and animals and my fondness for building a good brand.
Mm.
I established a clothing brand, and it was Endangered Species Limited, ES Limited. And so I had a great time pulling together the artwork, finding people who would help me build the shirts and construct um, little embroidered
Oh
logos
yeah, yep.
of endangered species, and I put this thing together on a shoestring budget, and I was fortunate to have people who wanted to help me along the way. But I cannot tell you that it was financially
Good
uh,
option.
a good option. Yeah, I needed to put that dream away and find something significantly, um, I think, better long term.
So do you
So.
do you think that you've always at heart been an entrepreneur, or do you think it's something that we can learn?
That's an interesting question because I've never. I suppose it's intrinsic,
Yeah, yep,
and I suppose anybody could have that intrinsic "I can do it" outlook.
yep.
I do believe that. It's just a matter, I've had conversations with folks recently, and they ask a similar question: what does it take to be an entrepreneur? And really, it's an internal compass. What is it that really turns you on? What is it that drives you? And it could be anything. It doesn't have to be. Um, Most likely, it's something that's not even remotely advertised, or something that you even would be well known. In other words, you don't become an entrepreneur to become famous.
No.
You're an entrepreneur because it's something that it drives you. So you're driven by your own dreams,
Mm-hmm.
and and the end result in my book is not necessarily arriving someplace and being famous. It's really more about how do we continue to journey on in this way, using our God-given talents and employing really what the universe delivers to you. So
Yeah, fantastic feedback. I know that a lot of this comes down to, I guess, the mindset game that you have with yourself. And I wonder, did you ever need to have the burn the bridge analogy and just completely commit? Because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that dabble in entrepreneurialism, but they don't really commit. What would you say to them?
yeah, we used a terminology with one company that I built where it was burning the boats.
Yes, yep.
We're going in, we're going to attack, and this is where life is going to happen. Burn the boats behind you. We are not going back.
We're not going back.
And I will tell you that mentality, that commitment is exactly where I am right now with this platform. And I could not be more excited about it.
Yeah, well,
We've
look,
been, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, look, I was going to say we're definitely going to take a deep dive into Pro Valet in a minute. I'm very,
Mm,
very excited. But like I mentioned earlier, Peter, we love to, go behind the business and check out your, I guess, your view of the world. So I really do appreciate your feedback.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
my pleasure.
Now, when we're talking about all these things, I know that for me, I'm not a very early riser in the morning, but I'm pretty sure you're quite busy, as are your team. Do you find yourself getting up early in the morning? What's a day look like for you?
Yeah, so rise and shine around 5:30.
Mm.
Uh, I have a full morning routine, including meditation, prayer,
Yep.
meetings, exercise, um, hydrate. Um, I take a series of supplements, including multivitamins, lion's mane,
Mm.
um, and several other nootropics that I find to be very helpful for not only getting the day going, but for maintaining a high level of energy throughout the day. Where we are right now, it's 6:15, and I know other 50 something guys that are probably at home taking a nap. I
Yeah.
have no interest in that.
No, absolutely. Yeah,
Too much life out there.
yeah, well,
Not
there's
that there's any. By the way, not that there's anything wrong with taking
no.
a good power nap. I'm all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for the feedback. Now, I know that it would be very easy for somebody like you. I know that I go through this, that I could work 7 days a week blissfully. Do you force
Mm.
yourself, or do you find it's important to actually have a couple of down days now and then?
I recently went through a program called the Flow Research Collective, and I don't mind plugging those guys.
Yeah,
Are
yep.
brilliant. Um, I highly recommend it
Hmm.
as a course to take. And they talk about the importance of the other side of working, which is if you look at somebody who is in flow, when they're truly working at their very best, there are very distinct steps to get there. There's the struggle of saying, okay, I have to start. And then there's the release where you say, I'm in it and I'm going. And now you're in the third step, which is the flow. You're absolutely crushing focus and any project that you have in front of you at light speed.
Yep.
You have to got to be cognizant that, hey, I'm coming to the end of this project, and you have to actually downstroke yourself into a quiet space. So the the rationale behind that is, of course, you can burn yourself out staying in flow beyond too long. It's almost like
Yep.
staying stuck in third gear for too long. You're going 90. You need to slow down and downshift, and that's really that's one of the things that they focus on. The other thing that they advocate for, which I agree with,
Hmm.
is quiet time.
Ah,
Infinitely important to maintain a I'll call it a quiet time hygiene. And that means no phone, no emails,
no
no,
tech.
no tech, exclude all of it. And it could be as simple as simply taking a walk around the block without your phone.
Yep.
Uh, I've often found that that's a good way to refresh. But yeah, I mean, no, I think working 7 days a week is something that is potentially dangerous for somebody and would put them in a position of not being at their very best. The ideal is not necessarily work-life balance. The ideal is my balance. What drives Peter in a day to get me to a place where I have completed my goals and objectives for the day. I've sat down and I've looked at what's going to happen tomorrow or next week, and are we prepared for that? Um, there's a whole series of, I'll call it checklists, that I like to go through, and it
Mm.
doesn't need to be something that's written. It could be just sort of rote memory on how we do things. But for
Yep.
some people, it starts off as a written goal and objective plan for each day.
Well, it makes a lot of sense that you think this way, given how deeply involved you are with process automation, which we're going to shift gear in a moment and talk about. Now, I wonder, in all of the things that you do I guess, at a strategic level, do you ever find yourself getting involved, I guess, at lower levels such as operations and things like that? I guess my question is, what's your superpower? What's the one thing that you think you're really good at?
Yeah, that is one of the things that elevated through the Flow Research Collective that I was involved with a couple of months ago.
Hmm.
They're advocates for positioning yourself to employ your strengths all the time.
Yep.
As biologically, we're actually wired to focus on our weaknesses
Hmm.
as a way to protect ourselves. If you think about us as animals and fear, and that there's a big bear around the corner that wants to eat you,
Yep.
that's all part of the DNA. So
Yep. Yep.
being very logical. And when I looked at my strengths, one of them was that I don't have a problem talking with people like you in this
Yep.
kind of platform. And so communication is one of the strengths that I have. And I like to employ it in writing. I like to employ it in discussions. I love giving talks to people about what we're doing or about other items that I've become involved in.
Hmm.
So communication is certainly a superpower
Yeah,
and
thank you.
and infinitely important in any relationship.
Yeah, that's great feedback. Again, there's going to be a lot of people here, startup entrepreneurs, those who are just starting their journey. Take a lot of value away from hearing somebody like you speak like this. So thanks again for sharing now. In terms of Pro Valet, I'd love to shift gears if we could now, Peter, and start talking about Pro Valet. But first of all, what is the relationship between Pure Coastal and Pro Valet? I was wondering if you could share that with us.
Yeah, thanks. The distinction is that Pure Coastal Technologies is the mothership.
Yes.
That's the corporation, and ProValet.io is the product that we are pushing into the marketplace.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, when I first started looking at Pro Valley, I noticed that you prefixed it with pool. Now, I know that it's much more than that. What was I guess, the idea behind using the word pool? And wondering if you could explain what Pro Valley actually is.
So, Pool Pro Valet was the original idea, and
Ah,
one of the things that anybody who's been an entrepreneur knows, your product will iterate, it will
yep,
change,
yep.
and as it changes, you need to reflect those changes accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
The original plan behind Pool Pro Valet was that we were going to help optimize a pool service company's operations,
Ah, yep.
um, doing many of the same things that we're doing right now. Um, and we automate scheduling, um, dispatching to the field. We automate the generation of invoices and collecting of customer payments. And we also automate my favorite topic, communication with the customers.
Ah, yep.
And five pillars of success in any good field service business. And so I use the term field service business because it's a much broader umbrella over what includes pool service, lawn care, home cleaning, home watch, things along those lines. And when we looked at building the business originally as Pool Pro Valet, the original thought was, well, we would replicate it for different um, attributes for different industries.
Yes.
And as we as we looked at the end result, the end customer, who is the service company's customer, it became apparent that because we're the only field service software that includes the customer with a mobile app, that they should be able to manage all of their home services through a mobile app. Let me give you an example. It's like Uber for any service business. So a customer of your if I'm a customer and I have ABC Pool Co. and I
Mm-hmm.
have XYZ Pest Control and I've got Sally's cleaning service and they're all on the Pro Valet platform, as an end customer, I can manage all of those relationships through my app. So you're not chasing different emails, text messages, or what have you. The
Wonderful.
entirety of your home services are managed through this
This app.
homeowner app. So that's why that was really so really we went all the way to the end line
Yes,
and
yes.
said, if we're going to do that, it would be far too confusing to have Pool Pro Valet, Lawn Care Valet, Pro Valet, um, Home Cleaning Pro Valet, what have you. So I said, let's since we're really building this from an agnostic perspective,
Mm-hmm.
let's eliminate pools and simplify it, call it Pro Valet,
Yep.
and now let's really find out who is our true customer. And so I mentioned some of them. We found some people who are quite happy with employing the product in pool service, lawn care, home cleaning, home watch, and pest control. So those are sort of the big five for us right now.
Yeah, there seems to be like everyone from the solopreneur who's trying to battle through the paperwork every day up to upwards of 500 employees. Would that be a fair range?
Our target market is truly the small business,
Yep, yep.
small and medium-sized business. The number of employees that we found our most success with ranges from 5 up to about 20.
Yeah.
That's about the top end for us. Once you get over 20 employees, you might need a lot of different features that we haven't yet built out. And there are some excellent companies out there that help with that. I will say this, there isn't anybody that does it any better for a regular interval service than
Hmm.
Pro Valet. There are a number of field service operations, software solutions out there that solve for what I refer to as the appointment-driven businesses, which would be your HVAC, plumbing, electric, handyman type of services.
Yep.
They require a hard fixed schedule appointment type of management versus what we're managing for people, which is basically a subscription business.
Got it. Yep.
So if you hire a pool service company, for instance, you'll pay them whatever it is you pay them on a monthly basis, and the guy will dispatch somebody on a weekly basis to come and clean your pool.
Yeah, that's
So
wonderful. I love it. Look, I'm all for process automation. I worked in quality assurance for many, many years, and I know that process control and the ability to serve customers and keep them not only satisfied but ecstatic with the service. And this is a big thing because I looked at some of the features and the benefits inside the app itself, and you've got the ability to do before and after photos. You've got a paperless environment. You've really streamlined the process. Now, tell us a little bit about, I guess, who's taking this up at the moment, and what are your promotional aspirations for the app moving forward?
right now we're getting we have people who are signing up in pool service, lawn care,
Mm.
um, home watch,
Home
which is kind
watch.
of an anomaly. That was a really strange one that came up.
It's different.
It is different. Being in a resort, I'll call it a resort area. We're really in sort of vacation land anywhere in Florida around the whole Gulf Coast and up and along the
Yep.
East
Yep.
Coast. There's an opportunity for home watch to be a terribly important service for people, especially really good home watch people. Um, so that has been a little bit of a surprise for me. And I'm happy about that. In fact, we have aligned ourselves and our product with the Home Watch Academy,
Ah.
which is an organization that actually teaches people how to be an excellent home watch person. So we've worked with Diane over there, and she's a big fan of what we're doing, primarily because of the accountability component that we give so easily to their home watch people, much in the
Yes.
same way that we give the accountability component to a pool service guy. Our technician mobile app, where all of their jobs show up, is GPS tracked.
Yep.
And a lot of people are they love that because not only can they, as a business owner, not only can I see where my technicians are in the field, to know who's closest to Mrs. Johnson, who just called
Yes.
and said, "Hey,
Yep.
I've got a dead frog in my pool," uh, but also because when it comes to doing a job in the field, they can't with our program, they can only check into a job when they're actually at the job. So every address is geo-fenced,
Yep.
and when they check in, it creates a timestamp and a location stamp, and that becomes part of a report that goes to the customer. So many of these services happen in absentia. The
Yes.
homeowner isn't there. They don't really know what's happening. They've hired this company. They think they're doing a great job. And by golly, what we hear from these pool companies is even though they have a high degree of integrity and that their people do actually go to the pool, they end up sending people back to the same pool just to drag a skimmer through it because the homeowner called up and said, it doesn't look like your guys were here today when they were. So now we've
Ah.
solved it. They don't have to send somebody back. Now the company's going to have proof that somebody showed up and did the work. And also simultaneously, the customer will also get a report that says the same thing.
Yeah, that's incredible. Now, when you're onboarding a new company, is it difficult to learn how to use the app, and how long does it take to get up and running for a small business?
So our promise to a small business when they sign up for us is we'll get you up and running and automated within 90 minutes.
90 minutes, is that all?
Yeah.
That's amazing,
And
isn't it?
we're actually we're going to tighten that up this next year. A big component of that, of course, is the onboarding of all of their customer data. And so it's been a big focal point. How do we get over this big hump for many people, which is how am I going to get all of my information into a new system? I have it in QuickBooks, I have it on Excel, I have it on pieces of paper, and
Integrations everywhere.
100%. So we've taken full advantage of technology, we're delivering that to the small business guy in a way that big corporations have become accustomed to over the last decade.
Now,
So
I know that you would have a focus on data security. Tell us a little bit about that because I know that there would be a lot of people on your systems, wouldn't there?
yes, in one of my former businesses, we became painfully aware of the importance of protecting PII,
Mm-hmm.
personally identifiable information.
Information. Yep.
Yeah, we had to backstop our business with a lot of different insurance policies and what have you to make sure that that was something that wasn't going to be a problem. In the case of Pro Valet, um, we have moved all financial information out of our system. We don't know it.
You
We
don't hold
can't
it.
see it.
Yep.
It's all we've partnered with Stripe to be our payment processing partner specifically because of their integrity with
Very strong.
keeping data safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're expensive as a payment processor, but we think that that's well worth the expense to have the comfort and knowledge that our customers' data is going to be managed through Stripe, fully encrypted, end to end. We don't ever actually see any credit card information, as an example. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of the features is that not only do we generate invoices automatically, but if the homeowner has auto pay turned on their homeowner app,
Mm.
an invoice is paid automatically, and it works exactly like Uber. You know, when you're done with your ride on Uber or Lyft, it's automatically
So we're
paid.
done.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
I love it.
yeah. So we're big mavens for maintaining security at all levels.
Now tell me, does the customer actually have a portal where they can log in, or is it just on the business side?
We have only on the business side will they have a portal to log in and manage and create their service forms and see really how their business is operating.
Right. Yep.
At the consumer side, we struggled early on with the concept of having a web portal, and it just seemed to be obsolete.
Yeah, redundant.
Everybody uses their phone,
Yep.
and we've had nobody come to us and tell us that they don't like to use the app. We've had companies that say, well, I don't think that, all of my people will use the app. And we have made it available to companies to segregate those people that they wouldn't want to have the app, that want to continue to operate as they currently do. Maybe they even still get a paper invoice.
Maybe.
Maybe you
Yep.
have maybe you've got a half a dozen people that you have to handhold.
Yep.
Great. You can
Yep.
do that. You can still operate our system flawlessly in the field and remove the concept of automating their payments and communications through an app because they simply won't use it. So we have that
No.
option.
No, there you go. Thank you for your feedback. Now, I always think about the fact that technology being made by man is subject to failure somewhere along the line. Tell us a little bit about the importance of support mechanisms for those who are using your apps.
Yeah, well, the process of building something new is fraught with pitfalls and unforeseen decisions, unforeseen results of decisions. A
Mm-hmm.
perfect example was, we've been building this app for 3 years, and as much as I was, as eager as I was in year one to get it out to market, I should have stopped and thought about it a little bit more because what we delivered to the market had too much automation in it.
Oh,
Uh, Going back to that point I was just talking about with the customers, we had our app built so that as soon as you uploaded all of your customers' information, immediately there was an invitation that went out to all of those customers, inviting them to use the app. And it was the first guy that said, well, I don't want to do that with everybody. And
Uh,
and so having had my head in the lab and not in the market at that point, I was taken aback by that, but fully understood it after he mentioned it. I thought, wow, yes, we need to break that apart. Um, there are other field level errors that have happened. Building two mobile apps that talk to each other, plus the web app. There are a lot of different lines of communication that have to be crystal clear,
I can
and they
imagine.
have to operate flawlessly. A great example was recently we were working with a company in Colorado, and came to find that there was a bug in our technician app that was creating an evacuation of the data when they moved from a good cell signal to offline mode.
Oh,
So we have an offline mode, but there was a very short piece of code we discovered that was um, basically deleting all of the information of
problematic.
yeah, it was problematic. It was problematic. Very great, very gracious pool company, and couldn't be happier to be working with them. But we did get it. We got it fixed within a day. So all of these things happen, and they have to be attended to. So you asked about support.
Yes,
We have a full tech team that is available for addressing just these situations. And we have a customer success team that's on the front end of that who can typically diagnose a challenge that somebody's having within a couple of minutes and get it rectified. So I'm an enormous advocate for having uh, excellent customer service.
yes,
You just
absolutely.
you just can't be. So one of the terms that they talk about, Rick, is the omni-channel. What does
Yep.
that really mean? And when we dissect it, it just simply means you have to cover people at the digital end and at the personal end. And that's the commitment that we've made to our customers and our future customers, is that we will always be a supportive operation. Onboarding is a concierge level experience for us right now.
Very personal.
Very, very expensive, but I mean, what you're doing is building a long-term relationship.
Yes, of
So,
course.
so we find it to be terribly important.
So tell me a little bit in all of this, beyond everything else, beyond the tech, beyond all the processes and the automation and the wonderful experience that you're creating for your customers, how does it make you feel personally knowing that you've gone from ideation through to deliverable? You've actually got a product out there that's serving people. How does that make you feel?
So I'll go right back to the beginning of the conversation and tell you it's just like trolling around for a great big tuna or marlin. And you're sitting there waiting. You put all of the puzzle pieces together. Everything's right. The water's great. The
Yep.
tide's right. The wind is right. And that beauty hits.
Hits.
And it's like, wow, I can't believe somebody's taking me up on this offer. Right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yes, it is a cool idea. And then you get the feedback, and people are enjoying it, and they really appreciate I think it's the appreciation, right? I mean, for me, I mean, great. Glad we have a cool product that works, but really at the end of the day, we're hitting our mission of
Yep.
giving people more time and more money, putting more time and more money back
Back
into
into
their
their
life,
pocket. Yeah.
and I think that's, we look at our core values, and that is the pinnacle reason why we each as team members get up every single day.
Yeah,
How
look,
can we be so? At a great education in a Jesuit high school and a Jesuit college, and service above self continues to be a theme, and it just works. It's great. So
yeah. I tell you what, we literally, again, just covered, I guess, the peripherals of the things that we could cover with this wonderful app. So, for those who are excited about Pro Valet and they want to learn more, what's the best way to connect with you and learn more, and then maybe even start the onboarding process? Where are they going to find you?
yeah, so thanks. I'd love to hear from some of your listeners. The best email address is peter@provalet.io.
Yep.
Of course, you can visit our website, provalet.io, and feel free to check us out, take a demo. Love to show it to you.
Hmm.
If it sounds good and you want to just sign up, you can sign up. It doesn't cost anything. And then from there, you would schedule a setup meeting where we can do the full review of the entire platform as not only a demo, but we'll do it and do it for you and your business.
Yeah, look, this is an incredible opportunity if you're a business that's in this field and would benefit from such an app. And again, we've talked about the support, the tech, and everything else that comes along with this. Peter, it's just been one of those conversations that I've really, really enjoyed. And for anybody who is listening, again, that provalet.io domain link will be available to you below this post. No matter, in fact, where you see the call, you're going to be able to get back to Peter and his wonderful team. And in closing, Peter, thank you so very much for joining me on the My Future Business show today.
Rick, thanks very much. Really appreciate being here. Thank you.